Just let us know, Nick, when you're ready.
Those minutes.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Caught up to December anyway?
Yeah, we're all caught up to December. I asked her when she's gonna get back.
I just didn't want to keep.
I know,
or
I know.
End up like Fond du Lac.
I know. I thought the same thing.
It's just more.
Nikki, are we ready yet?
Yeah, we're good to go.
So we can start? Oh. Anin, Boozhoo, Minagajeb. Welcome, everybody, to the Tribal Council meeting this morning. January 18th. Wow, going by fast. Time is flying. Welcome, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order at 9:08 a.m. As always, we start our meetings out in a good way. We have our spiritual advisor, Mr. Vern Adams, with us this morning, and we will turn it over to Vern.
Oh, Ojo. Oh, wabanung manitu. Every minute which manitu. Yodapna sema. Minima shawanung manitu. Every minute which manitu. Gadapna sema. Minima nagabinung manitu. Every minute which manitu. Gadapna sema. Minima gabidunung manitu. Every minute which manitu. Gadapna sema. Minima gichi manitu. Minima which manitu. Gadapna sema. Minima sagima manitu. Minima nibikang manitu. Every minute which manitu. Minima ogima memagwese. Minima manitu minas. How manitu. Oh manitu pega shirashki pizandana nina window manitu. Oh manitu ga sagaswa nini waga yipi minagoya no asema. Giga gwe jemga gitchina vemo no manitu. Oh manitu ga pega shawiduka waga sagaswa nini waga nungum. Ah manitu ga migwetwan watsanegishundago. Pega shirash kipizandana nishina vega nina window manitu. Oh manitu ga pega shawiduka waga nishina vega. Amigo Chikon Watanagish can go. Simon Nickneo.
Miigwech, Vern. Okay, with that, we'll start with roll call, please.
Kathy Chambers,
Here.
Eric Ishik,
Here.
Alice Morrison,
Here.
Shane Drift,
Come on. Here.
Robert Moyer.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Do you have any additions or deletions or corrections to the agenda at all?
No.
If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, second by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, next we have approval of meeting minutes, December 7, 2022 and January 4th, 2023. We will need to table these. Nikki is ensuring me that these will be completed for the next meeting. And so we will need to table these minutes at this time. Do we have a motion to table the December 7, 2022 and January 4, 2023 meeting minutes?
I'll move.
Moved by Tara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll read these off. Approve fire donation of $500 to Effie Drift House Fire. That was a 3-0-0 vote. One tribal council member was on vacation at that time. Approved drone purchase from Maverick Drone System in the amount of $28,370. That was a 4-0-0 vote. Approved independent contractor agreement, Robert Rice, 4-0-0. Approved resolution 74-2023 approving Doctors Lucy, oh my goodness, McAndry, Balamu, and Misty Wilkie to conduct study on intimate partner violence and letter of support. Next one is approved submission of application for assignment to the FCC for WELY. Approved rescind resolution number 65, 2023 and approving resolution number 78, 2023, issuing a residential lease to Anthony Mason. That was a 3-1-0 vote. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda? If not, I will call for a motion to approve.
I got a couple of questions.
Sure.
Under the letter B, it says approved drone purchase for Maverick drone systems in the amount of 28,370. Do we know exactly what this drone will be able to do?
This drone is for the Heritage Center. And I believe Jalen Strong requested it for, I'm sure it might be for like TIPO purposes, but
And we could also use it for marketing. It was brought up too with the airport, kind of the guidelines with that. So we're going to check into that with the different guidelines or licenses that we would need for that.
oh, Jalen's on the phone. Jay, or on the phone, online. Jay, you want to mention that?
Yeah, so can you guys hear me right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so essentially the drone is for mapping purposes. So the idea of it is to have the main capability be for TIPO purposes. So what you would use these mapping purposes, like it'd be done through LiDAR. Essentially it's shooting kind of like lasers at the ground, kind of mapping that area. And it helps a lot to kind of remove any sort of trees or help me see more instead of just doing like a walkover survey. And a lot of TIPO offices and other tribes are using these LiDAR and drones to help find like, burials, mounds, old paths and trails and stuff that people used to take. Basically because it takes such so many bullet points and data points from a quick flyover, it can kind of, you can shape it around and move it around so that things seem more defined through the air, and then you can go out in person and find that a little bit easier. The other capabilities that we had imagined that we would use it for is it comes with a thermal camera, so DNR or Public Works or whoever could use it either for surveying, for doing any sort of animal counts or animal tracking type things on the res, or emergency response was another priority for us. And so if people get stuck out on the lake, the idea is that, we can have this drone go out and it can fly up to, I think it's like 2.5 miles away from whoever is controlling it. But you can use that and use the thermal camera to go out and find if people are stuck out on the lake. And it should have the capabilities to kind of jerry rig something up to it, so you can, if they needed any sort of supplies, we should be able to fly it out there for that. And then pretty much so the drone itself is $28,000. $24,000 of it is coming from non-tribal funds. So the about the last $4,000 of it is going to be covered, is going to be coming out of the Heritage Center budget.
Miigwech Jalen, for that explanation. Very well. Very good.
I think that, with that drone also, we could be looking at the some of our sites that we know of where people lived at one time. As an example, out on Farmer John's, that's where my grandma was raised. Last name, her maiden name was Farmer, Margaret Farmer. And I have some of the old books that she wrote when she was in boarding school. I have them at my house, and she talks about living out there. So, and one of my Facebook friends mentioned that there is a burial ground out there, and I said, yeah, I know that there's a burial ground out there. Also, where they used to hold Medewan ceremonies, I do believe it was on Ely Island on Lake Vermilion. And we have also Green Hill, that's a battleground between our people and the Lakota people. So there could be sacred artifacts there or whatever. Moving on, question for letter E, approved submission of application of assignment to the FCC to WELY. At the last meeting, I asked for an amount the tribe has sunk into or put into WLY to keep it afloat. And the general manager was going to give us that amount, but I have not received anything.
I believe that might be also available at the State of the Band tomorrow. We can check with Brad because they're supposed to be giving a update not only for Fortune Bay, but the businesses as well. So maybe with Brad, you can get that documentation.
I said it before and I'll say it again, the tribe should have never bought that business. So the tribe should never have allowed it to run for so long. We sunk too much money into that thing, I'm never gonna get a return. Thank you.
Hey, good, Shane. Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move.
Moved by Robert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, Luke.
All right, next we have David Morrison Jr. With Danny Prados to discuss the service agreement with Boys Ford Seating Cultural Treasure Committee, and also with DeBell Jones, the discussion on access cards for the NHFC and VWC for RTG employees, and also the discussion on community events in Net Lake and Vermilion alternating sites.
David.
I didn't see Danny.
Didn't see Danny on, okay. So have you guys able to look through this? Okay. Any questions?
Can you just explain for the audience, Dave, what this is about?
Okay, so what this is it's our food sovereignty group. We're having a seeding culture treasures. What we're going to be doing is we're going to have a access for traditional foods here at Boys Fort. Some of our ideas are making sure we have wild rice provided for our community. You know, we have a snaring day set up in February 17th and 18th, where we'll be going out and showing people how to snare rabbits and how to clean them and cook them. Actually be the Thursday of the 16th, we'll go set the snares, check them the 17th, and then 18th, they should be thawed out for skinning and prepping them, how to cook them. Also, we'll be doing like netting walleye in the spring and deer in the fall. So the goal is to have like, kind of like how Red Lake has their walleye and whatnot. That's our goal here, is to provide traditional foods, to have access at our stores.
This is a really good group, the Food Sovereignty Group. It's a huge issue all across the country. And with the fall season for the wild rice, it's talking about harvesting, processing, cooking. Winter season, like David mentioned, was rabbits, snaring, processing, and cooking. I don't think a lot of people actually go out and know how to snare. You know, the hunting and gathering has really kind of been lost in a way, because a lot of people aren't doing that anymore. But bringing this back, David, with you and your committee and group is really good, like for the spring, netting, processing, cooking, home garden planning, any way that we can work at bringing back our traditional foods like the summer season, berry and ramp picking, processing, home garden, same thing. We kind of got away from that a little bit with our young people, especially because of technology, and this gives them the chance to learn these skills. So this is a great thing, I think.
It also gives the opportunity to provide employment for some band members that are possibly
Nice.
part-time or whatever. So we have a couple of different options that we're looking to do. Is we have one person that's going to promote it, go out and do advertising, whether it's door to door or social media, mailing. Then we have the person that's going to be providing the how to do it. And then we'd also have a person or could do both. We have a couple of different options where we could provide two people, otherwise the person just wants to do it all, they could do it all.
I do have one question. Is this on? When you did say providing the traditional foods at our store, the council may need to, or make an amendment or make some sort of statement for the walleye, because that's not commercial. So we may need to make some sort of accommodation.
Like I said, that's the goal, to be down the road, it's not gonna happen like overnight or within a year, but that's the goal, is just, this is a kickoff, just to see if we could get down there eventually. Just to see how it goes, it's some funding that Danny and Renika were able to find, and so we're able to do this for our community.
Okay, so yeah, just keep that in mind that it's
And even then, if,
non-commercial.
I know we're not trying to make lots of money off it or whatever, but we just want to have
I
it
know.
accessible for people that typically might not have that access to these traditional foods.
So would we do that at an 1854 meeting rather
Probably, yeah.
to change or make a small amendment to the code for the group?
Yep.
Okay, let's remember to do
Yep,
that.
remember. Okay.
Like I said, Danny's typically our spokesperson, and, I know, so eventually when we get this, I would be supervising this person, and I think when they first seen what the EHDI grant was doing, when we were doing like the netting and the rice project, they liked the idea of that concept. So they kind of found some money specifically for this, so that's where this came about.
This is exciting. Any other questions for David on this? And Jeff's reviewed the proposal and,
Yeah, he did.
okay,
I just had a comment, more of a idea, because I know I've talked to the tribal council about this the past couple of years about having a small building put up for food sovereignty stuff, and it was wanted to be designed around the changing seasons of trapping, berry picking, harvesting wild game, canning, ricing, sugaring. Get a building that has a large enough garage where you can string up a moose and get and quarter it, take care of it. Same with deer. Have a kitchen in there where it's big enough where you can teach people how to do stuff.
And that's one thing too, we discussed with the money that we were gonna buy some stuff like that. Sort of make sure that we have like a come along hoist for deer and moose. Then we're gonna have like flay knives, electric flay knives, cutting boards, those sealing, the food sealers. And then also at our events too, we're gonna be having incentives for people that come. So like if we do the netting, people would obviously would like a snare or flay knives, electric flay knives. Then we're also gonna teach that concept, like how grandpa taught us, if I give Shane a knife, he's gonna give me a penny and show me a good faith that he's gonna use what it's intended for, not misuse that knife, so. And then in turn, we'll be teaching culture stuff too as well, so.
But I was pushing for, maybe with all these grants that are coming around, to try to get somebody to push that and get us a little building so we can have all those functions and place to store all the necessary tools we need, nets and traps and snaring wire, all that different kind of stuff. And a central place where we can do all these classes and show people how to do things the way we used to.
And that's something too that we need to with the HDI grant. We're able to purchase some canoes and some parching pans. Right now I have them stored at a private spot, so.
It'd be nice to have a place where we can keep all that.
Right. That's one thing too, when we'll have like knocking sticks available for community members or youth that want to go, that need knocking sticks.
So maybe we can sit down and we can maybe get somebody that'll want to take that ball and run with it.
Sure, that would be good.
Rose, can you come up to the front, please? Can you show her, Ed? Yeah. What Travis is talking about is like an educational building where everything is incorporated into one area. And to bring our youth and whoever wants to come learn how to skin a deer, cut up a deer, moose, whatever. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a comment about if you're gonna be netting fish, you should learn how to make nets.
Oh, but I,
No, and also your string for snaring rabbits and stuff, so that people know how to get that on their own in case anything happens, you know, where you know how to do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know if you've seen the process for making a net. We'll leave that up for Christensen's right now. I'll rather buy that.
big witch.
Yeah, I don't think it would be that hard, because when you make shawls, they tie them similar to where you would tie a net.
Sure.
I don't think it would be that hard.
There you go. Maybe we'll volunteer you to come start our first class how to make a net.
I've been thinking of trying it.
Big witch. Tim?
Great ideas. You know, we've applied for a new DNR building, and with the food sovereignty grants coming out with the climate resilience, you should look to piggyback off that and maybe have an addition, you know, at the DNR to do that.
Yep.
It's good ideas.
Yep. Big witch for that, Kim. Like Kim mentioned, there's every day it seems like there's different funding pots coming down for various grant opportunities for tribes, and the climate resiliency and food sovereignty are areas that there's a lot more money coming down. And I really like this because it's incorporating also our teachings and our elders. And so this is a really good project. And then enhancing it with a building to have the ability to do that, because not everybody has a garage or anywhere to, you know, raise up a deer and skin it. And I mean, it's a task, even like duck cleaning and partridge and all those other things that we need to learn. Good.
Is there any comments on, no?
I was gonna say, one thing is that, they even have the, apps for the phones now that can help you identify plants.
Yep.
So that when they go out into the bush to learn how to pick the medicines, take a picture of it, pop up on your app, tell you what its scientific name is, and, you know, make it more fun for the kids.
Incorporate traditional knowledge and new knowledge, new technology. So it's a good thing. Very good direction.
Does that work when you take a picture of Junior?
All right, let's keep this cleaner.
All right. Do we have any other questions on the services agreement with Boys Fort Seating Cultural Treasures Committee? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agreement. Moved by Shane. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Okay, good.
Ready?
Thank you.
Go ahead, David.
Oh, Luke have to say what we're doing next.
Yeah, the discussion on access cards for the NHFC and WVC for RTG employees with the Bell jobs.
And Daybell is still doing it.
So what we had discussed was access cards for employees. So what I handed out was the last thing that we had for the access, in fitness center access key card. It's a benefit. So I'm not sure if you want to read it to the members that are viewing, Luke, otherwise I can or whatever.
Maybe as a backup, Dave, can you explain that key card access for
Yeah, so when
fitness centers in Nett Lake and Vermilion?
the benefit began on May 1st of 2019, it was determined that the Boys Fort RTG and the health insurance would pay for one initial key card, 30 per month for our employees that are covered on the health insurance plan, beginning May 1st of 2019. The 24 access key card will allow them to the fitness centers in that lake in Vermilion. And so they would have to come 8 times per month to keep the card free. And at some point we got confused there where we started telling people between HR and fitness center staff where they had to pay for the card. Because when we first did this, we had there was like a big explosion of people that came and got cards, and the key cards obviously cost money. So then when people see something free, of course, people are gonna come running. And then we just had so then we were just kind of getting some of that money back. So we started having people pay, but so it would be free, like I said, the 15 would come from the insurance, and then 15 would come from RTC. And I'm not sure if you guys have that in the budget or not to pay for that. So this would be the one option what we're looking to do. I know there's been some confusion of having people have to pay.
So basically, it's an added benefit for employees or staff that the insurance will pay for the key card access each month, correct?
So in this,
They do 8 times.
yeah, so in this benefit, eliminate the personnel policy section 610 fitness leave, to where that one RTC employees were excused 1 hour per day with supervisor approval to utilize Native Hearts Fitness Center and Vermilion Wellness Center. Employees must be eligible for paid leave benefits to use fitness leave. So that replaced that personnel policy. So I'm not sure which route you guys would like to do. If you want to continue with this new benefit here, which started on May 19th, where the insurance would pay 15, and then you guys would pay 15. But in order for it to be free, they would have to come 8 times. Otherwise, I think that's where we said they would have to pay after that.
And if employees, let's just say they didn't go there 8 times, they would still have the option to pay if they wanted to.
And that's where we have to determine, I guess it looks like your insurance will pay for 1 initial key card.
And I have a question. Say if that happens, and the next month they go 13 times, they get back on this free card. So
yeah, so like I said, if they pay, as long as they just keep coming 8 times, it's free. Or if you guys want to go back to implementing the fitness leave, section 610 in the personnel policy, employee benefits, where people get 1 hour per day. Which, I know COVID or whatever, nowadays, I know there's a lot of stress within staff, and I know smokers get to go out and relieve their stress. And I'm sure they're out there a couple more times than the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock breaks, and people that don't smoke, I know they would like to relieve some stress too as well. And I think that'd be fair for them to utilize that sleep. So I guess it's on you guys what you guys want to do. If you want to continue with the May 1st, 2019 access benefit, or go back to the section 6 fitness leave.
One of the reasons for this whole policy or for the fitness leave for employees is it's been shown in studies that if people eat healthy, exercise, whatever, it does help lower healthcare costs. Situations that happen with individuals that maybe aren't watching their diets and aren't exercising, they have higher medical costs or medical issues. And so by incorporating this fitness leave and doing some other things within the organization, that we hope to have healthy employees that will help limit our healthcare costs to our health insurance and have them live better lives. So what do you guys think about this policy?
So,
This is it. He wants to know if we want to continue this policy as is.
So the one I handed you guys was what was voted on and carried out, and it took action May 1st of 2019, which is this one right here. And this one replaced if you looked in the personnel,
We used to get 1 hour a day.
get 1 hour a day.
Can't we have? No, I'm just kidding. Can't we have?
It would be nice, you know, I mean, but like I said, it's all what you guys think.
As stressed as people are, I wish we could do both. How successful is this card program right now? Do you suggest we go back to the 16?
So right now, we currently have, I would say probably anywhere from like 8 to 10 people a month at Native Hearts that get the free access card.
And that you want those higher to at least half staff or
It'd be nice to be higher, yeah.
half even?
It'd be nice. And that was one thing too, I was also gonna see about doing maybe like a employee wellness day where like our fitness staff and SNAP Ed, we'd come down and do like a wellness day for staff. Or it'd be like in the big room here, and we'd have workout stations and then possibly have some nutrition stuff available.
I think that's a really good idea, and I'm wondering can we incorporate this into our, just a small portion into our personnel policy, just so people are aware of it? Because with turnover and staff and stuff, I think we kind of forget to update and make people aware of our programs and services we offer. So if it's written down somewhere, maybe, maybe part of the orientation process when they come on board, but also, I like your idea of the wellness day for staff because we need to do that. Like Tara said, a lot of stress, a lot of home stress, work stress, everyday stress plays on your mental and physical health.
I think whatever one you guys decide, I think they would have to be off their probationary period.
Yep.
Regular employees would have to be off 90 days and then directors or supervisors have to be the 180 in order to get this benefit.
Okay.
That's just my recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Dave?
Yes, kind of like on the flip side, I think that we should look at, take into consideration too, is, it's all about being convenient. And maybe looking at adding a policy regarding our ambulance personnel and our firefighters to be allowed to use an hour of work time to go to the fitness center to do either lift weights or walking or whatever to do, exercise. Kind of like an incentive too, so if somebody comes on board and says, hey, I just got certified as an EMT or certified as a first responder, and I'll be able to go do that during a work time hour, like if they want to go in the morning or an hour before work ends. It's convenient.
We could also incorporate them into this policy where they can go whenever they want as an added incentive for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And we have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Nick Buckle says, this would be beneficial to the full-time staff that get benefits for sure, but what about the part-time or seasonal staff?
Part-time and seasonal. It depends, part of it is it depends on if they get benefits. Some part-time staff may be eligible for benefits. It just depends on their funding for the, and seasonal, I'm not sure if they get the benefits, then it's part of that package. Correct, David?
Yes.
Okay. That might be something we can look into for those part-time staff that, maybe come and fill in once in a while. I think of like our on-call receptionists and stuff and some of our temporary workers that we have, even with the ARPA funding. It might be something that we need.
Like I said, this always gained mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Some people like it, some people don't. I know some of the providers probably kind of upset that they're not able to do it, but it's just unfortunate because they're providers. It's probably not going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Some people's schedules are so jam-packed. I remember mine was, and I would have loved to take advantage of this. It was just virtually impossible for me to.
And then maybe that's where the
to implement
employee wellness
director
would be beneficial as well.
And I know they say you need to make that your priority, for fitness but it just, the work schedule that I was given or that I maintained for myself, it just was too high, So I think there are some that would be able to take advantage of the card access benefit or even the 610 fitness leave. In order for it to be successful, we as an organization need to really take a look at the schedules that we have for our people. I'm just thinking of the management and senior management. Sometimes I pushed myself so hard, to get things done during the day where the health fell to the wayside. Now, if we as an organization can get a grip on what's going on with our employees stress-wise and organizational wide, to help them manage their schedules, I think that everybody would be able to access this. As I was thinking through this, I don't need to make this such a long thing, but maybe in order for our organization to lift up, this morale thing too that we have, is to be able to come together, make sure those schedules aren't so harsh on some people, and then make sure that we have enough time to be able to take care of ourselves. We could even go as far as, how they say we have silos? We only have certain people who hang out with certain people, like that. Maybe we could have a program too. I'm thinking Squidge would be perfect to design this, sorry. But for somebody from health to go and partner up with somebody from the natural resources or accounting or something like that, partner them up, and then they do a walk around, around the village. I just think that we could do a lot more and think a lot more outside the box to help everybody come together. And that's why I said, I wish we could have both of these. I wish we could have the 610 fitness along with the key card access, even temporarily. I wonder how much money that would cost us in order to get everybody's fitness up off the ground. Therefore, it would benefit their stress levels and everything going on within the organization.
And then just to kind of comment on what Nick had mentioned, Nick Buckholz, yeah, it'd be good to benefit everybody, but who really are we looking out for here? We're pretty much trying to look out for our full-time employees, that are here, and it would be good to, if the seasonal and part-time could take advantage of this as well. Like I said, I think our number one priority we're looking at is for our full-time RTC employees. Like I said, you guys could decide whatever you want to do, and I support it 100%, whatever route you want to go.
I see this as it's been in place since 2019, but I see this as a starting point again to look into other areas like with seasonal, part-time, whatever, scheduling, working with the directors type thing. It can only just maybe be, because things change, time changes. Right now, it just seems crazy because of all the funding coming down and all the added duties that are put on everybody. But at some point in time, I think things will slow down again to the point where we can do some of the things. But I think this is a starting point, and then moving forward with trying to address the other needs that are needed within the organization.
Dave Elser, maybe she could answer that as well, being in HR.
Okay.
The question was
Put that mic by her, Dave.
So the question was, they're wondering about seasonal and part-time employees. They're able to get this.
Seasonal?
This are the 610. So that was the 610 fitness leave. This got replaced by this. So this was before.
This was before?
Yeah.
I'm thinking because I think it's paid out of the health insurance, and some of the part-time and seasonal don't get the health insurance, so I'm not sure. I guess I'd have to maybe talk with Miranda and see what her thoughts are on that. It would be great if they could access it too, just to I mean, I think everybody needs the fitness. Either if you can break it down 10 minutes a day, walk. You know, I'm trying to do it every day, but it's tough. It gets tough in the winter time because it's so cold and you don't want to walk outside and, but yeah, I can talk with Miranda on that
And the other part that, Deval, before you got in here was, maybe incorporating our ambulance and fire people, emergency services personnel. Some of them are employees already, but it's those that aren't. And so, because, you know, those individuals also need that stress relief. And, I think that would be an added, I don't want to say benefit, but added, incentive, thank you. Incentive for, getting on one of our services, but also, that we care. We care about them and that what they do is not easy. Sometimes it's hard and, you know, they need to be recognized as well, so.
okay.
You guys okay with going forward with this the way it is and then having Dave and, Dave L work with, the moving forward wellness day, maybe working that with HR and, incorporating that into this and along with the, SNAP Ed with healthy eating and then also, possibly looking at, the part-time seasonal employees down the road here for what we can do for them as well. You guys okay with continuing on with this policy as is?
I would like to add, you know, maybe we can start doing stats, you know, actual stats, you know, how this program is working or we gather some stats for so many months or whatever. And if it's working, you know, how can we maintain that for the long term? If it's not working, what little perks do we need to add to this program in order for it to function correctly and to let everybody be included? You know, so then we want to see, okay, right now you said we had roughly 10 people or something like that. Okay, and then the following month, you know, get it out there, make sure everybody knows about it and how to access it and how to work that program. So we can have 20 people, we can have 30 people, you know, so how that.
That's one thing too, that, like when you come to the conference, I tell people, go get screened, you know, go get your labs done just to see where you're at, you know. I know people don't like to be told they're not healthy, you know. So it's just good, and even, you know, myself, I'd be willing to, if people wanted to, I could record your weight, get your blood pressure, get your A1C, maybe even get a cholesterol check, and then depending, you know, seeing where you're at, you know, if you're working out, drinking a lot of water, you know, lower your blood sugar, could lower the intake of salt would help with your blood pressure. Choosing baked rather than deep fried would help with your cholesterol.
I think that Tara brings up a good point. Yesterday, we were talking about grants and applying for grants and everything. One thing we lack is data. And that's one thing I think that we need to focus on more intensely in the future is tracking data. And so like she mentioned, you know, I think that, you know, by seeing, like she mentioned, the 10 employees that are there now, maybe if we, you know, put this wellness day together and say, well, now we've got 20 employees and maybe we have 30 employees come next year, it'll be a successful program. Plus we may see the lower healthcare costs along with that because, you know, every year we negotiate for our healthcare coverage and it's based on number of claims and all this type of stuff. So being more healthy will be very beneficial, but having that data will also help for future grants. So. Good. Okay, you guys are okay with moving forward with this program as is and?
Just gonna stay with the.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Since it's already been approved, we'll just give you the go-ahead, Dave, to look at it. And Dave L, can you see maybe possibly if this can be incorporated also in like with the orientation so employees are aware of it? And then I really like the wellness day concept. That's a really good idea for both Nett Lake and Vermilion. Good idea.
Good, so you guys have.
Maybe Fortune Bay too, you know, getting into their doors as well.
Right. So 15 would come from health insurance and then 15 would come from you guys, correct?
Yeah.
Which part comes out of health insurance?
Kim, can you come up? I'm sorry, you're the money lady. Is it the preventative health care? Something in the preventative health care benefit portion of the health insurance deal?
Which part though, the $15 share or?
It'd be 15.
15 and half?
Rtc would match 15.
If
Yeah.
they went the 8 times the.
The one time,
15 would be out of the preventative care, out of the healthcare. We have to look where we would do the other half from the RTC.
Okay,
so then it is, so everyone knows it is a one-time card, correct?
yes.
Yep. No, just that's for the viewers.
Okay, oh, okay. Thank you for that. Okay. We'll sit down with Kim and figure out the other 15 because there's only 10 right now. It's $150. Small amount for the benefits.
Could we add in the cost, just to get an estimate of costs for the part-time employees and
Yeah,
stuff too?
we'll look at that too.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much for bringing that, David and Davel. Next, we have David with, go ahead, Luke.
Got David with the discussion on community events, Net Lake, and Vermilion alternating sites.
Thanks, Davel.
So I guess what our planning team is looking for you guys is just support to alternate sites for our bigger community activities. So that would be like our Halloween carnival, Elders Christmas party, our Easter party. And those are just some of the bigger events that we have. So we're going to try that out right now with the Healthy Heart Conference. So our diabetes conference goes in Vermilion in November, and the Healthy Heart Conference will be right here in the big room.
Okay.
That'll be on February 27th. That's a Monday.
That's a good idea, Dave. I think that by alternating sites, because I know that we always seem to have everything in that lake, or we use Fortune Bay once in a while. But if you start alternating the sites, that gives the Vermilion employees the opportunity to participate more. And then that way we get our Net Lake employees over to the Vermilion side too. So
one of the things that we've been noticing though is like when we have stuff going on in Net Lake, we'll maybe have one program that comes up to offer their service for the community event. To where when we go to Vermilion, you know, we have our same little group of team that goes over to Vermilion and provide activities up there. I think it'd be nice to have a little more consistency within Vermilion coming up to Net Lake to provide events for service for our community events. And then also one thing I wanted to bring up too was, so I know with our Halloween carnival, we were very understaffed there. And so there was just our planning team was there. We come in, we set up. I think we browned up like 80 pounds of hamburger. And then to run our events, so we were running our events while we were eating. Luckily, we had some people that just come and help and volunteer to serve food. So I was going to see about what are your guys' thoughts? So say someone like Charlie Holmes, if he comes and helps, could he get that extracurricular activities leave? I mean, no, it's not during work hours. What would he be able to get some sort of time for coming to help either cook or clean up or set up? So we'd have one person designated where they're recording if people do use that extracurricular activities leave, which is in the personnel policy 622. Granted up to 8 hours of paid leave. Fulfill obligations to coach or assist with organized sports or other extracurricular activities in which Boys Fort band members are participating.
I think that would be a good idea, Dave. The other thing I think is that maybe from Luke, if you can at your director's meeting, one of the things that some of the studies or grants or whatever, the information that we've been getting is that we really need to incorporate, not incorporate, but ask staff to be a part of events, to be more involved with our communities and with our kids and our elders and our adults. So maybe this might be an avenue, Dave, to do that. I think that we can figure something out so you're not understaffed like that, but maybe talk with the directors in your meetings and see if you guys can come up with a plan on how to allow staff to do that and give them that opportunity. Because we do want them involved in our communities in some aspect, to be welcomed by our community members and also feel a part of the community as well.
Right.
Not just in their work every day, but having a good connection.
Right, because it does take a community to come together, so.
Yep.
Everybody.
Squidge, I think that, I mean, I've seen the work that you all do and I brag about it all the time. I mean, you guys probably don't hear me because I'm in different meetings. But when you guys come together, I mean, my God, you guys do freaking rock it, you know? I've seen it with my own eyes. I've attended many things, even the online things, you know, that I've attended. It's just freaking beautiful. I mean, really well done. Even though you think you're short-staffed and maybe you feel a little frantic about it, you guys freaking knock it out of the park. I love it. That's why I attend. So I think that maybe we as council need to be attending more events that they provide. And we should probably be having our executive director and our directors attending those events also, providing that example of what community is. So do we start doing that?
That's a good point. So that's all we're just looking for is, just support for you guys to alternate sites.
Yep. I think that's an excellent idea. Guys? Yep, you've got it.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. The other thing that I like about the events, like Tara mentioned, a lot of the cultural events, we now have the ability to record them, with technology now, rather than at least, because I know that you guys were doing like the jingle dresses, the regalia, that type of thing where, the proper etiquette for powwows, that type of thing. Those things can now be recorded so we don't lose that. Where before our elders passed, we lost a lot of that, so.
And then just to plug some of our events, we have winter storytelling event at the Vermillion Wellness Center on Saturday, February 25th. And Healthy Heart Conference will be Monday, February 27th in the big room. Thank you.
Look forward to those. Make which Squid, David? Call him Squidge all the time. No.
Do a motion for,
No, you just wanted a discussion.
all right, next we got Peyton Counts coming up to discuss the contract agreement with the MOU with Rockridge Schools to provide therapy in school and also with the Mount Iron Buell School to provide therapy in their school as well.
Welcome.
Is this on? Yeah. Would you, so the first one that you guys are looking at is the Rockridge School District. So currently we have 17 clients that are coming from Rockridge. And so one of the barriers that exists is kids having to so much school time in order to seek therapy services with us. And so in order to alleviate that, we're just having like a therapist in the school. That's the goal.
Peyton, this agreement then would be, do we have someone currently in the school?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have all the staffing in place for both Rockridge, Mount Iron, and Northwoods. This has been a really big push for the mental health department for a while now because we have so many kids on our caseload that that's a barrier for. So
I think also that this really, we had a consultation with Virginia schools. And, this is a huge need in the schools. is to have these services. So I think that's a really good move on our part, on the mental health department's part, to be in the schools, because a lot of times the staff in the schools, like we heard, are dealing with issues with the kids, and to be able to have a avenue to refer these kids to, and the parents as well, to get those much needed services is great. And Jeff's reviewed the agreement and everything?
Yep,
Okay.
reviewed both of them and they're approved.
Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Yes, I think that, that's great that what you're doing here, for our kids, our Bangor kids. What about like the other schools, like maybe, was it by Wabick or Northwoods or the ALC school in Virginia? Plans to incorporate them ones as well?
So yes, and also we do have staffing shortages, so we are in the process of hiring, well, we don't have the postings up yet, but we're hoping to get postings up for more therapists, so we have the staffing to have the capacity to do that. Right now, we're doing Rockridge, which this includes, if you'll look, it says Parkway Elementary, North Star Elementary, Laurentian, Virginia, Evelyn, and then this other one is from Mount Iron School, and then we're also currently in Northwood School right now. So the plan is to expand and get those kids who are in those surrounding schools, and this is the starting point.
Other questions or comments for Peyton? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the contract agreement MOU with Rockridge Schools.
Move.
By Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shane, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. And now you have one with Mountain Iron Buell. Do we know how many kids are there?
We have 7 kids currently.
7, correct? Okay. Good. We have a motion to approve the contract agreement MOU with Mountain Iron Buell School to provide therapy.
I'll move.
Oh,
I'll second.
moved by Travis, second by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Great job. Keep up the good work.
Which Peyton?
Butch.
Next on the agenda, we got Kim Griner come down for approval to add building to the 105L lease appraisal project.
Good morning. At the last meeting, we had added the 3 health buildings to be re-upped for the 105L lease appraisals. And we had asked about having the proposed building that we're purchasing in Virginia also be appraised for the 105L lease funds. And the cost came in at $3,750, and we'd like to add that. The question was, they just had that building appraised, but that was for the purchase. The appraisals that are for the 105L lease are fair market lease appraisals, and they end up giving you a square footage rate if you were to have leased that building. And then that's what we use to negotiate with IHS to fund building costs.
Okay. Any questions for Kim to add the Virginia building onto the lease appraisal projects in the amount of $3,750?
Yes, actually, it's kind of like not a question directly related to the lease appraisal, but is there a way that we could utilize the health department's lots of money that they have from ARPA to help pay for some of this cost relating to this building? So that'll give them a chance to generate the revenue going to be needed to keep it open, to keep it running.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, about the purchase of where we're going to purchase the building from, because we could purchase it from possibly an ARPA pot of money that from IHS, or it could be purchased from third-party revenues. And there's really 3 ways to negotiate your 105L lease funding. One is a fair market appraisal value, or lease value, and then you get so much per square foot per year. A second way is actual costs, and if the building is not funded by federal funds, you can negotiate for depreciation or replacement in there. That one's the more intense work. And then the third way is you can have a combination of that. And when we talked about this yesterday morning in the meeting, we said we wanted to look at which is most advantageous, where we would get more money from the 105L to pay back the funds. It doesn't necessarily come back to us, but you get more funds, kind of like a return on the dollar.
Myself, I'd rather us use the ARPA funding first, rather than our own dollars second. That's just my thought. Thank you.
And the other thing is, Randy and I will be getting a presentation together to explain 105 lease funds to the council and to staff that we're applying for, because we have 28 buildings done to begin to negotiate. We're getting the 3 for redone for the health, and then we're going to add the building in Virginia. And so people understand what 105L is and how it works and what it can be used for.
That sounds great, Kim. Great. Okay, do we have a approval to add the Virginia building to the 105L lease appraisal projects?
I'll move.
Moved by Tara. Is there a second? Second by Shane. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
All right, next we got Pam Parson coming up to discuss the compliance update.
Good morning.
Bonjour.
All right, you guys want to ask me my questions, or you want me just to roll?
Let's go.
Okay, so one of the things is, one of my greatest concerns is, so right now what I'm doing is wrapping up the year for compliance, ensuring everyone has their training requirements met, making sure we have training for next year that's been assigned to Health and Human Services. So that's kind of what I've been working on right now. Concerns, I do have 5 employees who do have outstanding training for 2022. I'm working with both, with these employees to get their training done. One of the issues that they're having is the lack of employees to manage some of the stuff that they're doing, and so the lack of time to do the trainings. Everyone's got to kind of prioritize. Compliance training has ended up at the bottom of their list. They're pretty major positions, so I do understand that. I'm working with them now to get the compliance training completed 2022, and working on the next training for 2023.
Okay.
So I started the training assignments for 2023. This year I've also assigned the fire and safety trainings and also the OSHA trainings that need to be completed for accreditation. So this year I've assigned approximately 14 hours of training on the learning management system MetTrainer. Another thing I'm working on is setting up risk and safety committees. I can't get no volunteers, so I might be needing to just assign employees to this just to get that done. Some of the 3 risks that I'm currently monitoring are our employees not logging out of their computers. I'm gonna come down a little bit on that. Employees checking their personal emails on our systems. That's something that really needs to stop. And we need to ensure that we all are not doing that. But that's one real big concern I have. Hope that's not my phone. Okay. All right. And then the last one is a concern I have is the security of the Net Lake Clinic. The doors were left open on 2 separate occasions during a long weekend. When I went in there and noticed that the doors were not locked, I did an investigation, resolved the issue, spoke to the employees. But we really need to make sure that we're more diligent because that's a huge security concern. Not sure if there's cameras in the Net Lake Clinic or not. But that was just one of my concerns that we need to address this year as far as like incidents that have happened that we need to mitigate and figure out what we need to do to correct that.
Pammy, the other thing I would think is cameras outside of the clinic doors. I think that would be another area.
Well, what's nice about the Net Lake Clinic is, you know, even though it was the front doors that were opened, when you go in there, everything else is secure. So basically it would be the lobby and the registration area. Everything's in locked cabinets. But I'm still concerned because that's a security concern that we need to address and fix.
Okay.
Having the resources to fulfill my responsibility currently, yes. I do have the money, the staff and the tools. Access to people, information and the data I need. That's a little bit iffy sometimes, but we're working on that. Sufficient authority to do my job, I believe I do. If people are taking my concerns seriously, mostly trying to get the employees to complete their training within a year. Sometimes I feel like a nagging parent, asking the same questions to the same people over and over and not getting a direct answer can be a little bit trying at times. So that would be one thing. And as far as being included in meetings, yes, I believe I'm included in all the meetings and all the new projects that are coming about with Health and Human Services. So do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. If you, and this is just me thinking, with the being taken seriously portion of it, you know, mostly you said, but and the training is huge because that's part of the accreditation and compliance. The lack of employees in those certain positions is something that, you know, we all know we need to work on. But if there's long-term employees, this is just a comment, there's long-term employees and they're repeatedly not responding or not answering, then I really think that do you bring that to their supervisor, or is that made aware of and addressed with that supervisor?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll be addressing some of that in executive session. Some of it's not appropriate for this.
Okay,
today.
got it. Thank you. Good job. Very good job.
Great.
Any other comments for Pam?
Yes, as always, you know, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Shane.
You know, and seeing how you and the staff have really worked on getting our clinics to be compliant with the rules and regulations, you know, that's awesome. And if there's anything that I can do as a tribal leader, please let me know.
All right, Shane, thank you very much, and I will.
Good work, Pammy.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Pam.
Next we have.
All right, next we got Jeff Holt here to discuss the opioid settlement agreement with Walgreens, Teva Allergan, and CVS and Walmart, and then to discuss resolution number 79-2023 with DSGW Senior Housing Service Order.
Morning, Council.
Morning.
All right. The first item that I have to present is consideration for Council's approval of participation forms for the most recent group of settlements in the opioid litigation brought by federally recognized tribes. So just as a quick background for Council and for others that might be listening, you know, the last 10, 15 years, there's obviously been a lot of opioid litigation and a lot of that litigation in the news. A lot of states have and individuals have filed suit against opioid manufacturers and pharmacies and transporters. And recently, a lot of those suits have come to the settlement stage. Tribes around the country, certainly not all tribes, but some tribes also filed suit against the same manufacturers, transporters, and pharmacies that that were, dealing with opioids in the 90s and early 2000s, and those cases are also coming to settlement phases, at least some of them. So McKesson and Johnson & Johnson, there were tribes that sued both of those entities. The entities filed for bankruptcy, and as a part of the bankruptcy, the tribes were able to participate by voluntarily submitting forms to be included in settlement funds that would be distributed to tribes. Bois Forte last year, the council agreed and participated and submitted forms for the McKesson and Johnson & Johnson settlement, so that's already been completed. What's before you today is sort of a second grouping of settlements that recently occurred in 2022 with Teva, Allergen, Walmart, Walgreens, and CVS. The settlement specific to tribes, the proposed settlement is $603 million for the group of those individuals, those entities. And right now, the phase is reaching out to tribes and seeing if tribes would like to participate in the settlement funds. If Bois Forte does choose to participate in this round, what it would effectively mean is that once there is a decision about how to distribute those funds to participating tribes, Bois Forte would be eligible for its share to receive funding that the band could then use for prevention and abatement of opioid-related issues. We haven't seen guidance on exactly how the funds could be used, but I'm hoping it should be a pretty broad uses related to prevention and abatement. By choosing to participate in these settlements, essentially the band is consenting to the settlement structure and being a part of the process, and also waiving any claims against these entities that it would bring individually, right? So by participating in the settlement, the band would be relinquishing its right to actually sue these entities directly. The last piece I'd say is that these settlement proposals will only be approved for tribes if there's a certain level of tribal participation that's satisfied. So for Walmart, there needs to be 85% tribal participation across the country, and for the other 4 entities, 95%. So right now is a period of time in which tribes can decide to choose to opt in to the settlement or not. And that's the decision before you today with respect to these 5 entities. I'll stop there. That's kind of a lot of information, I know. I believe you've got some of the background information in front of you and the forms as well that would need to be completed if you were to approve them. But I'll stop and see if there's any questions.
Hey, Jeff, this is Kathy. I have a couple questions. One a question, one a concern. It mentions that there's some other bankruptcy proceedings involving Purdue and Endo and some other ones. How many entities are involved in these opioid cases? Do we know?
Well, between the McKesson and J&J, this most recent settlement of the 5 entities, and then there's Purdue, Mallinckrodt, and Endo, there is, at least for major players for the tribal lawsuits, about 10.
Okay.
That is the national lawsuits that are subject to these national settlement structures, though. There's likely other suits out there for other tribes that may have sued individual manufacturers, but basically for the big players and the national suits, 10.
Okay. My concern I have is not with this agreement or anything, but it's regarding the, who first of all determines how to distribute the money? Is it the courts?
So the court has the court has set up and delegated the allocation responsibilities to a panel of 3 that includes Kevin Washburn and Mary Smith. And obviously Kevin Washburn's an individual. They're all tribal members, and Kevin Washburn's got a lot of experience in Indian country. So the court and the judge will actually have to approve, I think, the final allocation structure to tribes and how it will be decided. But the proposal will be coming from this 3-person panel that is right now in the process, I think, of coming up with a formula, a process for how it's going to distribute the money to tribes.
Okay. That's good to know. The other thing that I'm wondering about that concerns me is when you mention federally recognized tribes, a lot of people don't realize, we found that out with the Department of Energy. They funded the federally recognized Minnesota Chippewa tribe, of which the 6 bands are under that umbrella, instead of funding each of the tribes individually. And we had that with the CARES Act monies. We had to really advocate to make sure that they don't fund the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, who's in the Federal Register, that they fund the 6 bands individually who are under that umbrella. And so I would hope that, because they say there's 574 federally recognized tribes, technically there's 580. The 6 tribes under the Minnesota Chippewa tribe are not included in the 574. The Minnesota Chippewa tribe is the one tribe under the 574 federally recognized. That's one of the things that we're trying to work on as the MCT, to at least get us listed individually, because we don't want to see and the MCT get the funding and then have to worry about how it's going to be distributed to the 6 bands. The funding needs to come directly to the 6 bands. Like I said, that's happened with the Department of Energy in their phase 1 of some grid resilience funding, where they funded the Minnesota Chippewa tribe a lump sum, and now we have to split that among the 6 bands, where we could have probably got more money had we been listed individually under that MCT umbrella. So that's just my concern, is to make sure that Boy Sport and the rest of the bands get funded separately, not as the MCT.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's a couple things that I think are going to hopefully avoid that problem in this situation. One is that the individual tribes, individual bands for the MCT are submitting forms separately. So I think on the front end, they'll come in separately. And the second thing is that I think this panel, who is going to be figuring out distribution, is aware of that issue. But I don't think we should trust that it will resolve itself. I think it would be helpful to reach out proactively. And that could even be done if the council chooses to approve these forms and participate. We could do that proactively when we send these forms in, to make the issue clear to the panel.
Okay. Yes, please. That's all I had.
Question I got is that if we do approve the file for this, is that would you be given confirmation stating that Bushwood has successfully filed along with this?
Yeah, there'll be a confirmation. In the prior McKesson and J&J, when the participation form was submitted, there was confirmation of receipt of it, and certainly I think an agreement to follow up if there was any issues. So we can get that confirmation for sure.
Because I know that I think the deadline is January 26th. I thought I read somewhere to file.
There's, unfortunately, the guidance on this page isn't particularly clear about a deadline, and I think actually there's probably not a hard deadline, only because they want as much participation as possible. So I would just recommend that if council approves, we get these in right away within the week. And I think that should be fine in terms of timeline.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Jeff on the opioid settlement agreements? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the Boys Force participation in these agreements. Moved by Shane. Is there a second? Second by Travis. In favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thanks, Jeff, on that.
And now we got the resolution number 79-2023 with the DSGW Senior Housing Service Order.
Okay, I have before you, council, a resolution that approves a service order for DSGW to complete the pre-design architectural and engineering work needed for the band to submit its IHBG grant application to HUD. And that is the application for the 2 senior housing facilities that the band is currently putting together. That's led by Carol. I'll go over quickly the service order, and then if there are any questions about the grant or kind of where things are at, I'm not sure if Carol, she might be on those. I think Carol probably can answer some of those questions. So the resolution, like I said, approves the service order. The service order and the scope of work, I reviewed with Carol, and Carol had input as well as DSGW into what was needed to get the grant submitted. So that's reflected in the service order. The fee for it is $29,000 as a flat fee. And the resolution that you have before you authorizes use of ARPA FRF funds to pay for it, but it also clarifies that A&E costs could be paid through another third-party source, for example, by the granting agency if pre-designed services are eligible if the band is awarded, or if another third-party source comes up. So there's flexibility there in case there are other funds that come available to pay for these services. This is, just as a reminder, this is a service order. The full agreement includes the master services agreement that the band entered into previously with DSGW. And so this is just kind of an addendum to that clarifies this specific project for the senior housing facilities. I think that's it on my end, unless there are any questions, or unless Carol, you want to add anything.
No, I'm good. Thank you, Jeff.
This is our second application for the senior housing, Carol?
Third. This will be our third.
Okay. This is basically for, I believe, 8 units in Net Lake and Vermilion, 8 units each?
Correct.
Okay.
And they're going to be 1 and 2 bedroom combinations.
Okay. Hopefully this time, the third time's a charm.
I'm hoping.
We continue to try to pursue funding for senior housing. We realize it's an important issue for our elders, and we're not going to give up until we get funding for this project. So very much needed. Our older units are very in much need of being demolished or whatever, because they're really bad, and we need to get our senior housing up to par for our elders.
Also, by not having our, by not getting funded the first times, that only strengthens your third app, Carol.
Correct.
Jenny of all people know that.
Yeah. Okay, any questions for Carol or Jeff on resolution 79/2023 for DSGW senior housing service order?
Yes, no, with the third time that we're going after this funding, is the plan still the same to put the new senior assisted living center behind the current Wrinkle Ranch?
Yes.
And the other one was going to go behind on the Vermilion side. The other one was supposed to be behind the Boys and Girls Club and Fitness Center over there. Is that still the same?
Correct. Yeah.
And we did get this funding, that we were going to get rid of the duplex by the store, the one down by Pineview, and then that fourplex on Vermilion, right?
Correct. That's the plan.
I think that's part.
I hope we get it. I really do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if no other questions or comments for Carol or Jeff, I'd like to call for a motion to approve Resolution 79, 2023. Moved by Shane, is there a
Second.
second by Tara? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Great job, guys. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, everybody.
All right, next we got Tony Wakemup coming up to discuss the resolution number 80-2023 pertaining to the American Indian Advisory Council with drug and alcohol abuse.
Hi, Tony.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, we need a new appointment to the Minnesota American Indian Advisory Council with Minnesota DHS. And is a band member and an employee of the SUD department, and so that representative would be me.
Okay, and you're okay with it?
Yeah, I am okay with it. I've been to a few of the meetings and these advisory councils with DHS are really needed because that gives each individual band a voice of things that are going on in legislation, policy changes at DHS.
Good, very much needed, I agree.
Tony, what's the term? Is it annual or what's the term for this?
Until I'm no longer employed with the SUD department or.
With the position, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Tony? If not, we have resolution 80-2023 for the American Indian Advisory Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse to appoint Tony Wakemup.
I'll move.
Moved by Tara, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, silent, motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep, keep up the good work.
And next we got Luke Marshall to discuss any other business. I don't have it for this meeting. I will next. But just stay the band tomorrow at 1 and we would love to see you there. So thank you. And that's at Fortune Bay Casino.
At 10:30.
We also have something out for comment too. Would you like?
Oh, yeah, the current leasing policy is out for comment. So it's posted for 90 days?
90 days.
90 days. So please, everybody, if you have a chance, take a look at that leasing policy. For those that are in the communities, if you'd like a paper copy, just request it from the front and we'll make sure you get a paper copy. It is online. So we do need your comments on the leasing policy. This will be the most recent updated and it's just a draft. So your comments are important. We have State of the Band tomorrow as well. And we look forward to tomorrow. It's our first time in person in 2 years and it'll be nice to see everybody again. And we also look forward to our next council meeting in person. We did switch from YouTube because YouTube had a gap in the, when people would ask questions, there was a pause or whatever. And so the questions wouldn't come in till after we were past the item we were discussing. So that's why we switched our online forum to this, is it Teams right now? To Teams. So it gives people a better option to get their questions in before we end the discussion on whatever subject they may be asking. So
in real time.
Yep, in real time. Yep. So basically, everybody have a good day. Stay safe. Lots of flu bugs going around and COVID and just be safe. And we look forward to seeing everybody either virtually or in person tomorrow. And Geeka Wubberman.
Gwitch.
McGwitch.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. I do that every time.
I'll second.
Made by Shane, seconded by Tara. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, carried. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, audience.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Turned at 10:37. So.
Smoke.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Smoke them if you got them.
The sunshine.
Sunshine. Oh, my God.
That is new name, sunshine.